Whether it's hitting a certain amount of headshots or exposing yourself to women, achievements are an integral part of gaming, even if they are sometimes an obvious afterthought, like a gay person in an early 2020s Disney movie. For the longest time, I believed that I just didn't get them, similarly to MMOs. I've seen my friends completing all of their games to 100% and I was just not into it. Unlike MMOs, I knew that there was some appeal that I was missing, evident by the fact that I actually did complete some of my games to 100% out of my own free will, and I did have fun from time to time. Like a true capital G gamer, I like my games how I like my women, with a bit of meat to them. It would be natural for me to jump right on top of trophy hunting. So if the idea of achievements is appealing to me on paper, it must be the implementation that makes me dislike them, right? Let's take a look at some achievements and see where's the issue. If you have your own reasons for liking or disliking achievements, drop it in the comments. I like to see other people's opinions, and it helps the algorithm. We'll see if your opinion changes after we finish. So, when dwelling on this, I've noticed that most achievements can be put in one of 4 categories. Formalities, things that you do when you logically engage with game's content. Milestones, things that you will do when you play the game long or thoroughly enough. Challenges, so actual achievements that you have to go out of your way to do. And discoveries, which reward you for fucking around or straight up jokes and Easter eggs. Obviously, some achievements have the traits of more than one category, like finding the secret transmission in Portal. It can be both a milestone and a challenge, but in essence it boils down to being thorough and finding all of the thingies. Same goes for Malenia in Elden Ring. She's a more challenging boss, but her achievement in essence is mostly a formality, a confirmation that you've finished that part of the game dedicated to her. The Dark Soul achievement is basically the first 3 categories in one, although I would consider it mostly a milestone type achievement for other achievements. Then you have the case of the Animal Wells True Ending, which is a formality achievement, but the community engagement required to solve that puzzle kind of brute forces it into the challenge tier. Curiously, out of those 4 categories, first 2 are the most common and, coincidentally, the ones that I dislike the most. I realized this when I was going for the Dark Soul trophy in one of my favorite games, Dark Souls 1. The blow has been cushioned by the fact that I was playing Dark Souls 1, and this is not an easily sullied experience, but I couldn't help but notice that the achievements have been designed for the Japanese salaryman demographic. A checklist of items that you have to do before you can pretend to take a nap, since you can't leave before your boss is done banging his secretary. So let's go through these achievement categories and see why they suck. Formalities are awarded for logically engaging with the game's content. If you are not a baboon and follow the logical path, you'll get them. They usually don't require grinding and are mostly to signal that you've engaged with that part of the game. They can be playstyle dependent, but mostly in regards to players' choices. If you experience the entirety of the game's content, you'll get them eventually. Some of the best examples are the Welcome Home achievement after arriving in the estate in Darkest Dungeon. Reach Anor Londo awarded for, well, reaching Anor Londo in Dark Souls 1. The crowbar in Half-Life 2 can be ignored, but it is not the logical course of action. The ending-related achievements in Elden Ring fall into this category, just like the Shardbearer Malenia and Judy vs Night City from Cyberpunk 2077. The last 2 are optional, but completing the game's content will let you get them. Think of them as participation trophies. As achievements kind of made with an average millennial in mind, they do have their perks. They are definitely easy to make, too easy to churn out if you ask me. Easy achievement games are a subject in themselves. They can make the average game journalist feel good, and can boost engagement, since people have more reasons to engage with the rest of the game's content, like side quests or different endings. In fact, in their quality checklist for Google Play Games services, Google advises the devs to include some easy achievements for casual players. They can also be a metric of completion for the game on the platform, like aptly named Serious Sam achievement in Serious Sam 3. Aside from that, they can show how many players preferred a certain decision or did an alternative ending, like in Dark Souls 1 with both Dark Lord and To Link the Fire achievements. I would lie if I didn't say that they are boring though. Basically a checklist for the game's golden path. Most are made to be completed by retarded pensioners or people who have never seen a video game before, making them achievements in name only. There is also the problem that might not be there for everyone, but it certainly exists for me, which is immersion breaking. See, when I'm immersed in the experience, like for example seeing the suit up scene in Space Marine 2, the last thing I wanna hear is the fucking Steam notification sound. I remember in Elden Ring, when you have a major story point right before getting to the Pharaoh Azula, there is a nice emotional scene that, dare I say it, got me to feel something, and instead of the game letting me have that moment of melancholy when the screen faded to black, Nier Automata has many such cases. For example with the Crime and Punishment achievement. A great moment and then you're back in reality. This neatly brings us to the next type of achievement, because let's hope you didn't get the Mercenary achievement right after doing a side quest with really fucked up implications that would have you dwell with the game's music, completely immersed in the experience.
What's 9 plus 10?
21?
You stupid!
Milestones are awarded when you play the game long enough or thoroughly enough. Usually the only skill that is required for them is patience. They are not guaranteed even if you engaged with the entirety of the game's content. Just like Formalities, you should get them eventually, and some are even designed to be unlocked during a natural playthrough. But they revolve around doing something a certain amount of times or finding every single instance of something. The Reddit would be proud from Postal 2 is a great example. An absolutely optional hunt for cats that, while can be used as silencers, are not so abundant to make it a given. Similarly, reaching a max level for a class or getting a certain amount of kills fall in this category. You do the thing enough times to make the achievement jingle happen. A step up from game journalist to pigeon level intelligence, since the simplicity is probably their greatest perk. Once again, they are easy to make and, more often than not, they are easy to get. Things like killing 20,000 or 41,000 enemies in Space Marine 2 can also boost the player base for a while longer. Getting the Master of Arsenal in the same game can encourage players to try different playstyles. Finding secrets, collecting strawberries in Celeste, and getting 80% of the unit data in Nier Automata also encourages exploring and revisiting certain locations. It's all nice and dandy, but some of them can blend in with the formalities if they are designed to be unlocked during a natural playthrough, rendering them functionally meaningless. But worst of all, they can get grindy and tedious, even if you love the game. Getting those 41,000 kills in Space Marine 2 will start feeling like a chore if you are no longer invested, and this is the only one missing for completion. They can also be just badly designed, like the Master of Miracles or Master of Sorcery in Dark Souls 2, which might have made sense when the game was in its most active state, but if you for some reason can't engage with the multiplayer, have fun running around farming sunlight medals from the Falconers, or trying to spawn that elusive invader in one of the Belfry towers to get one spell that is required for the achievement. Nier Automata is probably my favorite game of all time, but if you held me at gunpoint and told me to upgrade all 39 weapons to max level, I would probably tell you to just shoot. It is no secret by now that I'm not that fond of the formalities and milestone type achievements, with first one being functionally meaningless and the second one being straight up boring or even annoying. What doesn't help is the fact that overwhelming majority of game achievements fall into those two categories. And it's not like all of them are bad. There are some amazing games like Halls of Torment, for example, which build their progression system around them. So maybe I'm just a grumpy old man too hung up on the word achievement and the association I have with it, growing up in a generation that received participation trophies and absolutely hating the idea. That could be the case, but there are two more types to discuss, and dare I say, I'm quite fond of them.
Do it! Just do it!
Challenge achievements can range from a mild step up in difficulty to sadistic bullshit that would make Marquis de Sade blush. By design, not every player will get them, as they require specific conditions or a certain amount of skill. The most common is the completion of the game on harder than normal difficulty, or harder than intended. This can't get muddy. Amid Evil's Hippie requires you to complete a level without killing anything. In Hollow Knight, you can take on an optional challenge of the Pantheon of the Sage. You can argue that this is also a formality achievement for the purpose of the uber final complete mega ending, but that's a matter of perspective. Devil Spire's Speedrun Down is a good old-fashioned speedrun challenge, so you get the idea. Since they require effort, They are casual gamers' kryptonite. As such, challenges get the benefit of being actually satisfying. At least that's the idea. Like hitting a fleeing civilian with a sledgehammer at Postal 2. Not that hard, but does require a bit of setup and aiming. There is a reason why people boast and display certain challenges on their Steam pages. A well-designed challenge is satisfying as hell, as I still remember getting A+ on all Hotline Miami levels or getting 200 points in that wolf game in Hrot. They can create an additional boost of community engagement with people creating guides, or even large-scale community participation, as was the case with the Animal Wells True Ending. A little AR game, Trials Evolution, sent the players on a real-life scavenger hunt. If done well, they can leave a lasting impression and engage the players' creativity. Even to just create the most broken build or switch up their playstyle to, for example, get better at stealth when playing Dishonored games. Now, even if they are done correctly, some players, like the casual type, won't engage with them. They just want to play the game and finish it. This is not the type of player to usually 100% the game anyway, and no matter how fun it is, they just won't bother with chaining bashes in Ori and the Blind Forest to get an achievement. Getting the There Is Only War achievement in Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun was fun, but I do understand that it would be frustrating for some people, and there is something to be said about it blending with Formalities, since I usually play single-player FPS games on higher difficulties. They also heavily rely on the game itself being fun for the purpose, and they can also reach the level of being borderline bullshit. There is a reason why only 0.3% of players have the ultimate achievement in Pillars of Eternity. I know it was designed to be insanely difficult, but it does lock out quite a few people, which, controversially, I don't believe to be a bad thing. Discovery type achievements are kinda weird. They reward you for fucking around, thinking outside the box, exploring for Easter eggs, etc, etc. Difficulty level depends solely on the achievement, with some being easy to find for a normie player during a natural playthrough, like the Why Are You Like This from Superliminal, while others are much more elaborate. Going again to Postal 2, the Chappelle's Show achievement requires you to have a cop eat a piss-soaked donut. Some games have an achievement for using cheats, like the aptly named Filthy Cheater from Amid Evil, while others can require for specific conditions to happen, like the Barbecue in TF2, for dominating a player to the point of making them rage quit. This makes them my favorite type, since they can be used to reward the player for simply having fun, make them explore and engage with the game in more creative ways. Even with simple things like Shiva Blast from Postal 2, acquired after throwing a sledgehammer up a cow's ass, or both of the Pervy achievements in Nier Automata, with looking up 2B's skirt and running as 9S without his trousers. Like with the cheater achievements, they can simply be a meta joke or a way for the developers to reference other games. A good example being the postcard from Poland in Hrot, directly referencing Warlock 2 developers. They can also point the players towards Easter eggs and developer rooms. It is hard to pinpoint exact pros and cons since they are very achievement dependent given their random nature. They are not as hard to do as challenges, since balancing a good challenge is an art in itself, but they also require the devs to maybe not take themselves too seriously, which can be a scary thought for les auteurs and their egos. Now they can be boring or frustrating, especially if you want to do them the intended way. The most egregious example being the now removed Sewer Brew achievement in Dungeons of Dreadmore, that required you to meet someone from the dev team and have a drink with them. In Gary's mod there is the Yes I am the real Gary achievement for playing on the same server as the game's creator. It can be unlocked using other means, but the intended way is not too easy these days. You can have some less annoying things like High on Life having you sit through an 8-minute commercial for a joke, or Serious Sam 3 requiring you to launch the game on Christmas Day and decorating a tree on a certain level. Now if you find that annoying, although you can still change the date on your PC, Batman Arkham City takes it to the next level, having you visit the Calendar Man on 12 different days, with the insult to injury being the fact that the game might sometimes, from what I heard, register the date incorrectly. So yeah, I find the last two categories to be much more fun, which is a shame since they are the most underutilized. Larger developers seem to be afraid of putting harder achievements in their games to not discourage an average Joe from attempting to 100% their game. They just don't have the balls or even the authority to tell investors, yes, we'll make something for 3% of our players. Which means that yes, I am a grumpy old man and a gatekeeper, since I think this is a wrong approach. Not everything is for everyone, and I would probably find achievements much more exciting if the majority of them were not of the boring kind. I would gladly trade collectathon achievements from Soulspawn series for some speedrun challenges and maybe things that will push me out of my comfort zone. Now you could say that it is better that you don't need the dev to tell you to have fun, and having developer mandated challenge runs and stuff would be detrimental to something like Dark Souls. But I just don't think that's the case. If the game is fun, people will do challenge runs regardless. This would, at worst, replace the arguably annoying checklists with something a bit more involved, and it could nudge players that did not think about challenge runs to try them out. But this is just a one-man's take, and I'm probably in the minority here. Feel free to drop a like or a dislike, share your opinion in the comments if you didn't do it earlier, or maybe if your opinion changed after this video. That will be it. Cheers.